This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Welcome to Chapter 1 of How to Build Generational Wealth, where we're diving into why compound interest might just be the most powerful force in your financial universe. We're breaking down how this simple concept can turn your money into a wealth-building machine that works around the clock, even while you sleep. Let's get into it. A quiet deposit in your 20s can be worth more than a big, heroic investment in your 40s. Picture two coworkers. One starts with just $100 a month. The other waits and later throws in thousands. Decades later, the early starter often wins. How does doing less earlier beat doing more later? A 30-year-old investing $200 a month might end up wealthier at 65 than a 45-year-old investing $600 a month. And not because they're smarter or luckier. The difference is how long they let their money quietly work in the background. That extra decade or two doesn't just add years, it multiplies outcomes. And this isn't limited to markets or retirement accounts. The same math lurks in student loans, credit cards, startup equity, even the interest on your skills. A small raise you negotiate in your 20s can snowball into hundreds of thousands over a career because each new salary builds on the last. Likewise, a persistent credit card balance can quietly grow into something unmanageable. In this episode, we'll move from abstract charts to concrete levers. Where compounding is already shaping your life, how to tilt it in your favor, and how to avoid being on the wrong side of the equation. Think of your financial life as a set of tracks laid in different directions. Retirement accounts, student loans, equity grants, even the rate on your savings account. Each track has its own slope, speed, and destination. Over years, those tiny differences decide whether you glide toward options or grind into constraints. In the real world, this shows up as the colleague whose 401k quietly eclipses their salary, or the founder whose small early stake becomes life-changing. Our goal now isn't more theory. It's spotting these tracks in your own life and deliberately steepening the ones that lead where you want to go. Most people only see one track at a time, whatever bill or balance is loudest this month. To actually use compounding, you need a top-down map of where your money can quietly multiply and where it's quietly leaking. Start with the engines that tend to compound for you. Employer plans are a big one. If your company matches 401k contributions, that match is an instant, risk-free boost layered on top of market growth. Equity can be another engine. Stock options, RSUs, or ownership in a small business don't move much at first, but a company that keeps growing and reinvesting can turn a modest stake into a major asset. Even your emergency fund, parked in a high-yield savings account instead of checking, earns a small but persistent return. None of these feel dramatic in year one. Over decades, they drive most of the gap between people who feel stuck and people who feel option-rich. Then there are the breaks. Anything with a high, recurring cost that scales with time. Subscription creep, frequent car swaps, annual lifestyle upgrades, each raises your baseline expenses, shrinking the surplus that could be compounding elsewhere. High-fee investment products live here too. A fund that charges 1% annually doesn't just cost 1% once, it takes a slice of every future year's growth. At 6 to 7% returns, that's handing away years of progress. Taxes are more like friction than a full brake. You can't eliminate them, but you can choose smoother tracks. Tax-advantaged accounts, 401k, IRA, HSA, some retirement plans in other countries, let gains pile up before the government takes its share. Tax-efficient funds and holding periods reduce how often you trigger taxable events. Notice also that your career and skills form a parallel compounding system. Learning a scarce tool, building a reputation, shipping visible projects, each can raise your rate of return on every future hour you work. Promotions and equity grants often hinge on this quieter compounding far more than on raw effort alone. The practical question isn't, is compounding good or bad? It's, where exactly is it already operating in my life, and on which side am I standing? Once you can name the engines, brakes, and friction, you can start rerouting cash, attention, and time from tracks that flatten your future onto ones that stealthily steepen it. A useful way to spot compounding in real life is to look for places where today's choice quietly changes the baseline for all your future choices. Take fees. Two index funds might both track the same market, but one charges 0.05% and the other 1%. On a $50,000 balance, that difference is barely dinner money this year. Stretch it over 25 years of contributions and growth, and the low-fee choice can leave you with tens of thousands more, without you ever saving an extra dollar. Or consider someone accepting equity at a scrappy startup instead of a slightly higher salary at a mature firm. In the first few years, the salary path feels safer and richer. But if that startup compounds its value and eventually exits, the earlier equity grant can overshadow a decade of better pay. In your career, saying yes to leading one visible cross-team project can do something similar. It doesn't instantly increase your income, but it can compound into a reputation that pulls promotions, referrals, and higher leverage opportunities toward you. Compounding will quietly reshape how we design money systems. As microtransactions get cheaper, we'll see savings embedded into everyday flows, roundups on rides, tiny yields on idle app balances, auto-hedging for freelancers. Think of it as background music, always on, rarely noticed, slowly changing the mood of a life. The real shift won't be new apps, but new defaults, systems that assume you will own assets and make doing nothing the path of gradual, compounding progress. You don't have to predict markets to benefit from this. You only need to choose which tracks your money and energy are allowed to run on. Think less about hitting a jackpot and more about setting up quiet, automatic escalators in the background of your life. Over years, those invisible lifts can matter more than any single bold financial move. Before next week, ask yourself, if I started or increased an automatic monthly investment today at a realistic amount for my budget, what exact dollar figure could I comfortably commit to without pausing it in the next 12 months? Looking at one specific goal, say retirement at 65 or a house deposit in 10 years, how much would future me thank present me for contributing monthly right now, given how compound interest grows over decades? If I logged into my bank or brokerage account today, what's one recurring expense I could cancel or downgrade this week and redirect straight into that long-term, compounding investment, starting immediately? This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. To keep learning with structured courses and more insights, go to owlup.co. Until tomorrow.